All right, just to close the chapter, last week, had again an opportunity to sit and watch all the tape with our staff as well as our players, and there was a lot of great things. I think, it was a complete game. You looked at there was a ton of good things offensively, defensively, and special teams wise, and a lot of stuff we still got to clean up. But offensively, we were clicking for most of the day. Probably the only disappointing thing was a turnover. When you look at it, how could you be perfect? And just a problem with the handoff led to 7 points for them. And again, we gave them a kickoff return. When you think special teams, you were pretty happy with your coverage all day. Kickoff coverage was excellent except for one time, and didn't have great kick coverage, which I think I explained immediately after the game, which leads to 7 points. I mean, you can't give a good team, those two breaks and really 14 points. We spot them with a 40-yard drive and a kickoff return for a touchdown. You can't do that. But offensively played pretty darn good. Defensively, when you watch the tape, one of the guys here today sitting in the back was clearly a dominant player Saturday. Shakir Soto. He was our defensive player of the week, without a doubt. You saw that halfway through the tape. He was making plays everywhere, and I'm excited for him. And just the little things he did. He played with great fundamentals. Some of the things we didn't do in the last time we played these guys. Last time we played them, we gave up, I think, 279 yards rushing. This time we gave up 240 yards, I believe, which is a lot less. And when you look at what you gave up versus the dive, what you gave up versus the keep by the quarterback and the pitch, those were held to a minimum. So when you talk triple option, that's what you stop. Now they came with some different formation, motioning the guy over there and really overloading you, unbalanced, and tossing the ball, which toss play is different deal. So they obviously didn't like what we did to stop the option. So it's a tribute to our coaches and what they did there. So they were like, forget the option, let's run toss. Just wish they'd line up in the I-backs and run it instead of with all the junk they do. So give Coach Johnson credit for that. And but for the most part, I was happy with the way we've played defensively. There were some coverage things that we wish we played a little bit better, but they did some nice things with getting two guys in a zone. On a vertical route one time, but give them credit for doing a good job. This week, obviously, get to go on the road and try to get our first win, which I think is critical. We go down and play a good Virginia team that's on a 2-game win streak. Bronco Mendenhall has had a ton of success as a head football coach at BYU, and he brings his game, his defense to the ACC. So it's really totally new for us. So. Some of the things we do know about some of the players, because we played against their players, but they're really a totally different offense and defense from what they were a year ago. So that'll be a challenge, saying, hey, what are they going to like against us? What do we like against them? But the quarterback's playing really well. They're throwing the ball, very well. Ben Kurt is doing a great job throwing it. He's a quick release guy that is tall, good in the pocket, doesn't take many sacks, throws it away, very intelligent. And the Meisel kid, at number 4, their tailback, I remember number 4 from last year. He was, in my opinion, by far their best football player. He can beat you in the run game, and he's a great receiver coming out of the backfield screens. He hit us on a couple wheel routes a year ago, which really doesn't matter what they did a year ago. But it does matter that we know that guy. Our kids know who he is. So we'll know where number 4 is, in the run game and the pass game. All day, but they're a spread offense. They're going to be in 10 personnel, 4 receivers in the game is their favorite thing to be in. They'll be probably second favorite would be putting 2 good tailbacks in backfield, and then probably third is putting a tight end in the game where he'll be attached. We call it 11 personnel. So very multiple, a lot of personnel groupings. No huddle football team with a little tempo to add to it. And then defensively, they're 3-4. Bronco is a defensive guy, and they run a lot of 3-4 and a lot of different blitzes and coverages. So our offense will have to be on the top of their game mentally to pick up everything they do, and Nathan will have to be sharp as far as deciphering all the different coverages that they use to try to confuse you, and they do a good job of that. So with that, I'll open it up for questions. So I'm sure you guys got some.
You have 3 games in a row here with new head coaches you're facing, plus another one later in the season. You spent a lot of time this week watching BYU film, and next week you watch.
No, we're not watching any BYU tape. We watched that in the summer. You know, we got a good idea of what they did there and what they've carried over. And you know, good coaches are going to, you know, not necessarily do everything they did at BYU. We'll have all the tricks and, you know, halfback passes and everything they've done, you know, over there. You know, which is the main thing. What tricks haven't you seen in the first, you know, 5 games that they've played? So you really want to know what other things maybe you haven't seen formationally. So we got a good list of everything they do offensively and defensively over there. Any new blitzes, you know, how many safety blitzes do they have? Just different stuff that you may not have had installed yet. Because I know, you know, Bronco doesn't have everything in defensively that he'd like to get in. So there'll be some new wrinkles for us, I guarantee you. And their offense coordinator, I'm sure, has some stuff that he hasn't shown yet either. And they've had 2 weeks to prepare for. So, you know, that'll be the next challenge. They've had 2 weeks to prepare and get a great game plan going. So, you know, we're under, I guess, for, you know, compared to them, we're a short week for us. So we'll be moving around pretty quick.
Just to build on that, what are some major differences between Mendenhall and maybe his final BYU teams that he's done so far at UVA?
You know, it's just pretty much their basic stuff they're doing is the same, Craig. I mean, it's the same stuff.
You had a good idea that Shakir could make the transition in your I'm sure you did though, but in your past, do you remember another defensive end or moving tackle having success?
Yeah, we've always had success, you know, with moving guys that are big, athletic defensive ends that we just made a lot more athletic inside. I mean, he was special inside, and he's been really good all year, to be honest with you. It was, you know, one of the great moves of the offseason. I don't know if he knew it, but, you know, we knew it. I knew, you know, I had no, because he was tough and physical. It'd be different if you had a big defensive end, if you want to call it, a big defensive end that was soft, then he couldn't make the transition. He'd just sit out there and be a good backup. But he's a guy that's transitioned in well because he's physical, he's tough, and he uses his hands well. So it didn't surprise me that he'd have the success he's having.
You guys have had success moving guys' positions, you know, whether it be Brian, and what's kind of helped you guys, you know, move guys around and get a lot of production out of it?
Right. That's coaching. It's, you know, it's our job to put, you know, guys in position to make plays where they can be most successful. And I think, you know, that's kind of what we do.
With him being a senior, was there any hesitation that, I mean, it's only 1 year, there's not a whole lot of time to make that transition? You know?
No, because I think playing D-line is playing D-line, whether you're a 5 technique or a 3 technique. You know, all you do is move over a guy and get to play against a lesser athlete, probably at guard. But there was no hesitation. We're going to try to get him a 6th year too. I think I asked him that after the game, didn't I, Shakir? See if we can get another year out of him. I don't know. We'll have to check with the trainer on that. It's been done before, by the way.
When it comes to things like position changes, when it's Shakir or Brian, what are some things that you have as a coach that have given you out that you think had a position switch?
It's just athletic ability in size and potential. I mean, you got to look at the potential. You know, and again, you know, same thing with our freshman class and every freshman class that'll come in. You know, you're just trying to put the best athletes on the field. You know, and I think that's, you know, for Scott Orndorff and Brian O'Neill to be both playing tight end right now would be kind of like, you know, how many 2 tight end sets do you want to line up in? We don't line up in a lot of that. So it's just trying to get our 11 best on the field offensively and defensively.
Shakir had, I mean, obviously he had a big day statistically on Saturday. You mentioned what he's done all season. What has he done in the first 5 games?
He's been consistent in what he's done, really. I mean, you think about, you know, when you're stopping the run, you know, your D tackles better play well. We have done a pretty good job at stopping the run this year. You know, I don't know where we are, but you know, we've held people's run game in check, and then again to cut Navy, you know, 130 or 40 yards less than what they got a year ago. And you know what, we'll play the toss a lot better next year. I guarantee you that. As well as, you know, I just told the defense last night, how much better will we be in a year? So having that second year, you feel like, okay, we got this. You know, there's a lot of things that we can do better. It'll, you know, I think every year you play a team like that, you know, you get better. And I think, you know, same thing with playing Virginia and you know, the Cavaliers with a different offense. You need to find out what they like to do against you. So that's a challenge.
Pat, when you're preparing this with your coaching staff to play a team, you know, to lead up to the game, how does it help you to know whether or not an injured guy's going to play or not?
Say it again.
How does it help you to know?
Are you digging again?
No, don't much trouble.
Okay.
I'm not.
I'm trying to figure out your question.
Okay, player X is hurt, and you're or any other team, how does it help you to know whether or not he'll play?
Well, we need to know because it depends on what you're working in. I think some positions are different than others. As far as can he not practice all week and still be effective in the game? As a coach, I've always been to the point where if he can't practice during the week, it's tough to play the guy. I don't want to ever, because then I blame it on myself. Well, he wasn't mentally, physically ready to go. We played him because he didn't play. So I mean, that's a coach's call. It's a head coach's call whether you play that guy or not. And I'd rather play the guys. I think you play like you practice, and if you don't practice, you'll have a hard time playing the game.
But if you're the other team, how does it help you to know whether a guy's going to play?
So what are you getting at here? I mean, quit beating around the bush. What are you asking the other team? I'm the other team. So you're talking, is your quarterback hurt? Something I don't know about it?
No.
Mizell, is he out?
I was trying to ask.
If I knew Mizell was out, it would change while we play.
I was trying to ask the question the best way possible. Bronco Mendenhall saw Avante Maddox get hurt on Saturday. How does it help him to know whether or not Maddox will play or not?
He'd like to know, I guess.
Why?
Because he knows, who's playing that corner spot and knows if there's a backup in there, he thinks he can go after him. That's how I'd say it. Next question. Jeez, that's a long question for nothing.
When you look back and watch the film, what are your thoughts on Dane Jackson and how he was able to come in and stuff?
I was impressed. You look at Dane's first play in the game. Dane did a nice job. Dane did a really good job of coming in and making, he wasn't like he was tentative. I think the first play he came in, it was a run his way, and he stuck his head and dove in the pile and got in on the action. So you didn't see a timid guy out there going, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And he's shown it. We practiced a lot, so we've seen that. I was impressed with what he did.
Feel better right now about your quarterback depth than maybe you did, at the start of the regular season?
Quarterback depth?
Corner, because Motley and Jackson they've had to play.
Yeah.
Do you feel better about how those guys have performed? They've been out there.
Yes. Yes.
I guess speaking of quarterback depth, what kind of prompted the move with the Hamlin Coleman being introduced those guys?
I just thought I'd mess with you guys this week and throw them out and shake it up a little bit. They've been there all year. They've been, you could put them on a depth chart, all you want. I just thought with Avante, not finishing the game, it caused some stir. But DeMar and Theron, for really the last 3 weeks, have been battling back and forth, and we've traveled both of them, I think, the last 2 or 3 weeks. And they're just getting closer. They're freshmen, and we'll see how much closer they are.
I know there's a turnover this week, but how challenging is it for Nate with jet sweeps, having a player right behind him for the timing and footwork? It's an idea how much you guys work on stuff like that.
We work on that every day. It's actually, if you came out and watched us in practice, I think you guys are still there when they're working on all those, all the mechanics of handing that thing off. It's the first one we've had, in half a season, and don't need any more. But it was, it was tight. It was a timing issue that wasn't great, whatever. But we work it every single day. It's our snap and exchange. I mean, it's worked every single day, and I don't expect to see it again. It's one of those. It was almost in there. It was just, a little late and hard to stick it in there.
Has Matt had success with jet sweeps other places he's been?
You got to watch the tape. Put the tape on. Yeah, he has had success. I mean, they were a productive offense. I don't know where they were, second or third productive offense in the ACC a year ago. So that's why he's here.
Is that kind of a play that is going to become more popular in college football?
I don't know. I don't get to watch. Busy watching the Panthers. I have no idea. The Panthers and the Cavaliers. That's what I'm watching. I'm sure people will start to pick it up. Like they do everything. Coaches are thieves. They'll steal whatever's good.
Any additional questions?
Do you feel like you're defining some roles for your tailbacks? Or just using, how much of an advantage do you think it may be in November having one guy with a ton of carries?
I think it's a huge advantage. We've been able to keep guys fresh, and with Shantez and James, obviously, getting a bulk of those carries, but then having a package where Olson's on the field as well, and then he gets his carries depending on what it looks like, and then then you got George. He might as well be a tailback too, right? Might as well put him in a tailback category. But I think it's going to help us, down the line. We'll have fresher people.